Okay, let's see what we have for Sonnet's Maker's Box for the month of September. So excited. Okay, so it says the September Maker's Box is all things fall. The golden glow of autumn leaves, rustic pumpkins to a cozy plaid. You'll find the warmth, texture, and whimsy of the season ready to spark your creativity. Yay! I love fall. So we have from Recycled Treasures, we have one that's called Whispers of Fall and Autumn Hearth Plaid. And the painted photographer, we have Moody Night and Pumpkin in Fall Views. And then for the DIY paint, there's Mermaid Tail and Electrified. And Fusion, we have Mustard and Renfrew. And then Sweet Pickin' Smoke Paint is the color of Curry. Let's take a peek. Oh, I love these colors. Yes. Okay, so this is the mustard. Beautiful fall color for the yellow. And Renfrew. I love this. It's a really pretty turquoise, dark turquoise. And then here is the milk paint sample, Curry. So that is a good autumn yellow as well. And this is the DIY called Electrified, and it is definitely an electric green. So we'll see how that goes. And then we have a really pretty blue, kind of a blue-green color called Mermaid's Tail. All right, so let's take a peek at these papers. And this is Recycled Treasures. And it's a full sheet of that beautiful plaid color, Autumn Hearth Plaid. So it's got like a kind of a dark green and orange color to it. Gorgeous. This will be a really cool backdrop for something. Then we have Whispers of Fall. I love these type of papers from Royce. They're so beautiful. They make a great landscape on furniture. Oh, this is so pretty. So pretty. Love this. Gonna have to figure out what to do with it. I don't really want to cut this one up. I want to use it as a whole. So I will need a big project for that. And then for Connie, the painted photographer, this is her Pumpkin in Fall Views. I love it. She's got a course called Old Fashioned Art Camp, and I am a subscriber to that, and we just learned how to paint pumpkins, and so I am super excited to do that. And that is some really, I love the shape of that pumpkin. And then this is her Moody Night. Oh, she's got leaves in the backdrop. Oh, that's so cool. I'll bring it close so you guys can see. Do you see the leaves? Isn't that so cool? And then she hand paints all of these images. Super fun. And so Sonnet is great about coordinating the DIY paints with Connie's because she actually paints with the DIY paint. And then the fusion colors coordinate really well with Recycled Treasures. So I love that because then you can do little vignettes, you can do several projects, and they will all coordinate together. And then Sonnet always gives a napkin each month, little bonus napkin. And this one also has beautiful colors that will match the paints that she has put in. I think this is just gorgeous. Love that. All right, so let's get busy and start some projects. Okay, so this first and second project is actually kind of the same thing, but a little different on the inside. So this square piece here is actually a charger that you put a dinner plate on, and a lady asked if I had wanted to buy these, and Jennifer up at the Curated Cottage thought it'd be a good idea to make them into like some wall decor. So I'm going to go ahead, and normally I put a white base down, but I want this to be a really muted background. And I'm using Roy Cycle's plaid paper that was in Sonnet's September box. And I'm going to go ahead and decoupage this on with my decoupage and transfer gel from Fusion. And all of the Fusion products you can find on my website. They are available at thereclaimedranch.com. But I go ahead and do one side and then put the decoupage medium down and squirt the water onto the paper to open those fibers, and it helps to lay down and get a nice clean adhesion without as many bubbles. So you always want to seal the top of your decoupage. And I plan on painting some pumpkins on these. I am a part of Connie Hemmer's The Painted Photographer. She has a class online called the Old Fashioned Art Camp, and she teaches you how to paint using shapes. And she also teaches you how to use your colors and different painting techniques. And so I have been learning so much from her, and I am so excited to be able to paint pumpkins now. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this big one here first. And I'm going to start with my darker color. I'm going to dry those edges down a little bit. And I actually only use like one, maybe two different types of paintbrushes. One's the angled brush that I'm using here, and another would be like a little round liner brush. And I am going in with the color Renfrew Blue from Fusion. It's a beautiful deep teal color. And I'm also going to be using the mustard from Fusion. And then the darker color in my palette there is Weathered Wood from DIY Paint. And so I am mixing a clay-based paint with the Fusion paint, and that's okay. I'm also using a little bit of beadboard from one of Sonnet's earlier boxes to give it some highlights, kind of change the texture a little bit. And it's all about the brush strokes. That's what gives it the character and the flow and the movement in your piece. So you can see that I'm just following kind of like a C shape down, and I'm going to be highlighting some areas a little bit more than others to kind of give it the effect that there's a light shining on them. And you have to just make sure to highlight the same areas in your entire painting so that it coordinates completely. I've done it where it was highlighted on one side and then the other piece was highlighted on the other, and it looked a little weird. So I'm also going to be putting in some of this mustard to kind of give it some of that green undertone, and mixes in beautifully with that Renfrew. And so I'm going to continue to do this, and then we're going to come back and we're going to shade a little bit more of the dark areas of the pumpkin and give it a stem. And then I'm going to give it a little buddy on the right hand side in that lower right hand corner. I'm going to paint a little tiny pumpkin. So I'll let you listen to some music and enjoy the painting.
Headlights on the highway, if you only knew. Being back here always makes me think of you. When the world is sleeping, do you think of me? With the road ahead's coming back again, coming back to me. I remember the long drives, the late nights in your car. I remember it all. Windows down, empty streets, you were all I used to know. You and I, forever, forever ago. And you used to drive me home. Now I drive alone. You and I, forever, forever, forever ago. This town's so quiet, this time of year.
And then I did seal it with the Fusion's Tough Coat Matte. So this next piece, we are going to be using Connie's little pumpkin here. And this is the technique where you put water on the rice paper and it will tear really easy around the edges that you place the water. And I want to make sure that my pumpkin is going to be smaller than the space I'm using. And actually, if you guys are going to Sonnet's retreat this year, the first week of October, this is the technique I'm going to be teaching at that retreat, and I'm so excited. So this is that other one from Connie, and I'm going to fussy cut the crow and pumpkin out, and then we're going to put him next to that other pumpkin, and we're going to build a background to make it blend in. And so we always want, you know, to do decoupage on certain things, and then we say no because our decoupage image is too small for our project. Well, you can fix that, and this is how. So we're going to start, and I'm going to start building that background, and I'm using the Renfrew Blue from Fusion, and I'm going to be using the same paintbrush for the entire background. So I'm going to put a base down, and then I'm going to add in some of that electric, oh, I can't think of the name of it now, the green from the DIY. Sorry, I don't have the card in front of me. And I'm adding a little bit of white, and we're going to lighten it up a little bit, and I'm sporadically putting my brush around in different motions. I'm not going in one specific direction. That gives me some texture, that gives me some like shaded background image, you know. And so I want it to kind of highlight different areas. I'm also bringing in some of the orange, and up by the stem of that one pumpkin there's a little bit of orange, and I'm actually using the paint to decoupage it on because there was quite enough paint on there to make it stick. So I'm going to do the same thing with my little bird. Going to put that into the paint, and then I will decoupage its little tail onto the paper after it dries. So now I'm going to go back in, I'm going to add a little bit more of that green and kind of blend into the background of the papers. And so it makes it really easy and nice to be able to use smaller images on bigger projects. And you can bring your colors into the paper a little bit more towards, see how I'm coming towards, closer towards that pumpkin. And that's what's giving me the effect of it's blending in nicely and seamlessly. And you always want to use a torn edge. You never want to use straight edges when you're doing this technique. Otherwise, your eye will go straight to the straight lines. So you can still kind of see right where I'm at. You can see that torn edge a little bit. But when that paper dries, it's going to be almost invisible, which is super cool. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I am super excited to be teaching this at Sonnet's retreat. And I hope to see you guys, some of you guys there. Let me know if you've watched this video, if you come, and I will be so excited to, you know, have a little fan base cheering me on. So the technique I use is I use the paintbrush to stipple and kind of pounce up and down. And that helps keep the paint blending with each other while it's still wet. So Connie actually taught me this technique. You take some paint, you spray water in it, get it nice and wet. You put it on your paintbrush, and then you use another paintbrush to tap the top of it over your project, and that gives you these gorgeous splatter spots. And then I just took a baby wipe and wiped up my mess, and it turned out great. And then I also did a sealant of the Fusion matte on top of that as well. So this was actually a retail piece that I bought wholesale for the store. They did not sell for the springtime, so we're going to upcycle for now the fall and see how they do. So I'm going to go ahead and with my Fusion parchment do 2 coats, and I'm going to be using Sonnet's paper napkin that she sent in the box for this month. It's a gorgeous pumpkin, or actually a couple pumpkins, and I love it. Love the colors, very bright and bold. And so we're going to go ahead and decoupage this napkin on there. Now always make sure to take off the backing of the napkin. Sometimes it's a 1 ply, sometimes it's 2. And then use your gel medium to decoupage it on. with the napkins being so thin, you got to make sure to be real careful when you're placing that napkin on there because you can tear them pretty easily. So I'm just kind of very lightly taking my fingers around, trying to get those air bubbles out and pull it to the edge. And then whatever edge I don't get, I will just kind of paint in and make it look a little bit more seamless so you don't see that white paint underneath. And again, you want to make sure to decoupage on top to seal it all in. And now I'm taking DIY's dark wax, and I'm going to have one coat of dark wax over the entire thing. Now normally I put a clear wax down first, but I wanted to show you the difference. So when you do dark wax, it does not pull off as easy. However, you can go back in with the clear wax and it will erase some of that darker wax. So you don't have to fret too much. It still can be, pulled off a little bit, but with that napkin, I still wanted to be really, really careful. And I just wanted to age it just a little bit. So I wanted to brighten up the top part and kind of make it moody down on the bottom. And then I did seal it with the clear wax around the whole entire thing. Now this next project is a frame that I bought for my friend Cindy at CNC DIY Factory. And I did not have a big enough project to use this entire paper. I love it though. So I am going to frame it in a really nice wooden frame. She makes these frames. I believe I still have her information in the description box below if you're interested in buying these frames. You get both pieces, plus you get a wooden stand if you wanted to use a stand, or you can hang them as well. So with any decoupage, you usually want to do your white base, and I used parchment, 2 coats of fusion parchment. And I'm drying it with my heat dryer because I'm impatient. So I just cut around a little bit extra than the actual size. That way I know for sure I will have enough to hang over the edge and to remove later. So put my decoupage down. I'm going to spray my water on my paper and then gently use my hands to remove the bubbles. For some reason, normally this works amazingly, but for some reason when I was spraying my paper, it had a really hard time laying flat. It did not want to cooperate, so I had to do it a few different times, tried some different techniques, and I don't know why, but it was just giving me a hard time. I finally got it to work, continued down, and did the rest, and then I used my heat gun to dry it before I seal it, and that helps get some of those air bubbles and creases out as well. So now I'm going to go in and seal it completely with the decoupage medium, and I'm going to let that dry. Actually, I let it dry overnight because I used actual stain on my wood frame. I used, I'll show you in a minute, the Fusion all-in-one stain called Cappuccino. It is my favorite color out of all of them. It's a beautiful dark brown, kind of like a walnut brown. And at first I thought I wanted to stain it and then pull it away and have some of that wood show through, but there was some spots on the wood that were showing lighter than the other spots and they just weren't really even. So I went ahead and I put that first coat on, and then I put a second coat on and lightly dabbed it off and just kept it really nice and dark, and it still turned out just gorgeous. This is a really pretty, very moody piece for fall, but it's great as a backdrop for a vignette, just to put in even like on a fire mantle, or if you have a place that you just interchange out for seasonal decor on your wall, you can just quickly change out this piece for a different one, and that's going to give you instant fall vibes. So I hope you like this project. And the last project, we are going to use the same paper as this one. I'm just going to use it on a pumpkin to kind of coordinate with this cute little framed picture. So after letting it sit overnight, I go in with my sandpaper, pulling down away from the wood there, and that's easily going to give me a nice, clean, crisp angle and line where it's going to remove all of that excess paper. And so once that is done, then I'm going to go ahead in with my Titebond Quick and Thick glue, and I am going to glue the entire frame all the way around. And I like to use a paintbrush one of my older paintbrushes to just smear that glue and get it to the edges to make sure I have enough on there to adhere to the picture. And so what I do also is I end up putting some fabric on the edges, and I use the little clamps from the Dollar Tree, the little pink ones, and I clamp it all the way around and let it sit for at least 2 hours before taking those off. And then I have a nice solid frame glued together. All right, so the final project is going to be that pumpkin. It's just a paper mache pumpkin you can pick up at any craft store. And again, I'm going in with my Fusion parchment. I only needed to do one coat. It seemed to cover just fine with one coat. And then that other part of the recycled paper, her autumn paper, I am going to cut those into about 2-inch strips and cut them down in half. And I'm going to use those to decoupage this pumpkin and make it a nice moody little pumpkin that's going to go really well with that frame that I just did. So I'm going to go in and spray with my water to make sure that the decoupage paper is opening up and it's nice and flexible, and then just go over each one. As you place it down, you're going to decoupage over the top and then kind of keep going. Now with this kind of shape, it is a little weird. They don't just go straight up and down. You kind of have to go at an angle at a little bit. But you just keep working it until you like it. And then I ended up with a little round circle on the bottom that was white, so I just covered it with another piece of paper. Super simple. And then I wanted to change out that stem on top. I did end up using my little X-Acto knife, cut that out, and my friend Jennifer actually gave me a ton of old real pumpkin stems, and so that was probably the hardest challenge of this entire project, was picking out the stem. I don't know what would have been easier, but the hole I had a hard time finding one that wasn't super large but would be big enough to fill the hole. So I ended up picking one that was fairly close. And what I did was I got some of my moss, my green moss, and I put that on top first, and then I put my stem on. And that seemed to work out pretty well. And then I bought some, I think it's kind of like I don't know what you would call it, but I get it at the dollar store. It's a wired rope that looks like those little squiggly, what do you call those even? I know there's a name for it. You'll have to put it in the comments below. The little squigglies that come off the pumpkin stems. So I just did that and did a couple of those coming out, hot glued them on, and this guy is finished. I love putting an actual like real natural look to it, even though it is a decoupage paper mache pumpkin. It still has like the real moss and the real pumpkin stem. So I think my favorite project for this week is definitely going to be the pumpkins that I painted, because it's kind of near and dear to my heart that I was able to do that after learning from Connie, and it was actually fairly easy to do. I was shocked. She makes things so simple. She breaks it down step by step. And so I'll try to have that link down below in the description box if you're interested in the old-fashioned art camp with Connie Hammer, the painted photographer. So give her a little shout out, because she's an amazing, amazing teacher. And she will actually be at Sonnet's retreat as well. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. And I hope to have a video out next week for you, but I will be gone that first week of October at the retreat. So maybe we'll have some on the road fun videos to show everybody. You all take care, and we'll see you then. Bye.